Good morning, everybody. This is Grant with State of the Spark, and I am super pumped for today's show because we're going to be talking about multiple streams of income and what that means to people, but also 4 ways that multiple streams of income reveal to you yourself, reveal to you who you are. We're going to be talking about that today. Now, for those who follow the show, you know that we're getting into this cadence where Fridays are for crypto, Mondays are for personal development as we set our sights on having a killer week. So we're going to have a great show today. We're going to be covering how multiple streams of income contribute to a spiritual life. We're going to be talking about other news. But before all of that, you know what we do. We're going to be covering Morning Cup of Gratitude. What are you grateful for? What are you pumped about this morning? What's got you going? I want to hear about what you're grateful for today. Listen, I'm telling you this. You can't walk in deep finances. You can't walk in mental freedom, time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom if you aren't free in your heart to express what you're grateful for. If you don't have gratitude in your heart, you're just struggling. You don't know how to enjoy the riches of the moment, which means you won't know how to enjoy the riches of the future. I knew a millionaire, and this guy was miserable because he wasn't grateful. And I said to myself, if I don't know how to express gratitude, it's not worth chasing. I might as well be happy as a bump on a log. So we're talking about financial freedom and gratitude. Tell me what you're grateful for, and you know I'm going to share what I'm grateful for. You got to start every week, every day, every threshold moment with absolute gratitude because it opens your heart and your mind to A, opportunities. B, it helps you connect with people. It sends out solid vibes with everybody in the room. This person's an open person. This person's a grateful person. They're glad to be here. You got to cultivate that thing. So let's talk about what I'm grateful for. So tell me what you're grateful for in the comments below. I'll tell you what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that we had a killer weekend of fellowship. You know, we've got our Discord. I keep talking about it because it's pumped about it, and I've got a good group of friends who are our original investors, and these guys are great. One of them brought out their kid. We were able to hang out. I missed hanging out with one of my good buddies who we invested in a soccer team together, Ron Thompson. We missed that opportunity, but we did have other opportunities to spend time with people, and I love the holidays because it gives us the opportunity to connect with people, and I love the level of quality. I was sitting around the table and noticed nearly every person at the table around me was an investor of some kind, or we were investing together in something of some kind, or involved in the Discord, or involved in crypto, or involved in real estate. We have actually hit a milestone where we've cultivated that the 10 people around us, you've heard the averages, you are the average of your 10 closest friends. The averages of the 10 people that we're hanging out with is so high, and their capacity to think, their capacity to invest, it's huge. That is what I'm grateful for this morning. What are you freaking grateful for this morning? I want to hear in the comments. It's Monday, and we're starting with Personal Development Monday. Let's talk about other news really quick. Now, the thing about other news, for those who are kind of new to this, I know that we've got this following growing in YouTube because you guys are following the crypto message. You're in the Discord. We're talking a lot about how to build multiple streams of income with a hyper focus right now on cryptocurrencies and what we're doing there and some of the projects we're building there. But here's the thing about other news. Cryptocurrencies can fall victim to just about anything else, whether it's the pandemic and people wanting you to be hyper-focused on the pandemic because they can pull you around, whether it's focusing on the stock market, it's going up, it's going down, and if they can pull you in to focusing on what they want you to focus in on, you can get pulled around and manipulated. It's the same with cryptocurrency, so no matter where I know you from, we're going to be talking about other news because I like these moments of other news to elevate you out of the myopia, the myopic view of the thing you're around. So let's talk about Comet Leonard. Other news to make you a cosmopolitan. Comet Leonard is at its closest to Earth right now. It was discovered in January by an astronomer, Gregory Leonard, and this guy actually found this comet. And the reason this is newly discovered comet is because it takes 80,000 years to go around the sun. Can I still go around the sun? If you guys like Brian Regan comedy, look that up. 80,000 years. That means 40,000 years ago, it was only just getting to its furthest point from the sun, which if you think about human history, 40,000 years ago, good night. This is not only a once-in-a-lifetime event, this is a once-in-many-lifetimes event for you to get out and see, and it's at its closest to Earth today. Go grab a pair of binoculars. You can't see it with the naked eye, but if you grab a pair of strong binoculars, and no, I don't mean the little opera binoculars. I mean a good strong pair of binoculars. Look out west 1 hour after sunset, and you should be able to see Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus all converging in the same view. And to the lower left of that, you should also be able to see Comet Leonard. If you're a nerd, and you should be, here's a link. Here you go. Boom. For you to check that out in your own good time. Boom. There you go. Check it out. Go learn about Comet Leonard. Go put on a pair of binoculars and go see something that's basically once in a lifetime. Check that out. Let's talk about NFTs. So a Christie's auction just went live with last December 4th through December 7th with another auction of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And as you know, NFTs are all the rage, or at least they were in September, in August, September, and October. Check that out. And this particular auction was actually originally, they showed all the pieces before the bidding at Art Basel in Miami, which is a pretty good marketing move, one could say. It was titled The Gateway, and that's the gateway to the metaverse. And they had 24 pieces for sale from artists like Mad Dog Jones and the Cyber Kongs collection, for those who don't know, as well as DJ 3Lau, who performed at Art Basel in Miami. And this was kind of the who's who of NFT artists and people making money over there. But the thing was this: they held the auction on OpenSea instead of the Christie's auctions itself. And if you're familiar with the OpenSea platform, it's interesting. It's awesome. Transactions are expensive because it's on Ethereum, but it's also kind of new and it doesn't have all the mechanics figured out. So the results were mixed. Compared to other Christie's auctions, this kind of came in the middle. They only raised about $3.6 million in bidding. And they've done a lot more than that in other auctions. And so the conversation right now is the NFT market cooling down? Well, if you just look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look and see that the NFT market is slowing down. That doesn't mean that everything is getting cheap and NFT holders are going broke, but it does mean that things are changing. So if you want to check this out, I got an article here for you. If you want to learn more about NFTs, I do think there is a huge future and utility for NFTs. Is it as fine art? Well, that remains to be seen. It is in the art space. It is in the copyright space. But I think that we're still figuring out these crypto markets. We know we're still figuring out these crypto markets. And things like NFTs as fine art and as high art, I do think will be tested in the coming months as more utility-driven tokens and more DAO-driven tokens will actually drive the market. So if you ever want to talk more about that, hit us on the YouTube channel and comment there. Let's talk about building MSIs, multiple streams of income, and how this is actually a spiritual act. Let's talk about it. So years before I got married, I was on a spiritual path. I was deeply involved in my church. I was deeply involved in meditation and prayer. I had even managed to travel with Semester at Sea around the world. Many of you have heard the story too many times. And I was able to study religion in multiple contexts. I was able to study Hinduism in India with Sufis and the sky clad, the naked, right? I was able to study Cao Dai and the Cao Dai temples. And I was exposed to many different spiritual practices, Candomblé in Brazil, and I was intrigued about many things. But one of the main things I was intrigued about was the daily life of spiritual people, the practical life and practical applications of those who are focused on spirituality. They seemed at peace. They seemed free from anxieties, free from worries. And that really appealed to me. And so all through my 20s, I had a deep spiritual pursuit. And back of all of this was always a tension, a dynamic tension that I was still always struggling for money at the time. And it seemed like money didn't jive with spirituality. Now, if you jump forward into my time in the church as a Christian, quite often, though they talk very often about an abundance mindset and prosperity gospel. And though I was often given books to read and study about prosperity gospel and money mindset, and I appreciate that about my time in the church. What was back of that, though, was a habit of poverty. There seemed to still be a poverty mindset. In fact, oftentimes the abundance mindset immediately was followed by actions and practical actions that lend themselves to poverty. And so I was intrigued by this and I decided to pursue spirituality further, but I was kept trying to reconcile a money mindset. Jump forward, my wife and I got married and my spiritual journey continued. I love the aspect of discipline, the aspect of self-sacrifice and meaning. Not really self-sacrifice as much as purpose and meaning as one puts one's ego aside and makes it about other people. The abundance mindset, replacing jealousy with celebrating other people's successes. I have benefited so much from my spiritual life. But it always felt like there was this conflict as it pertained to money making. And so my wife and I followed this continued spiritual pursuit of meditation and experimentation and quiet time and journaling and transcendental meditation and DMT dropping from breath work alone, and continued to try to figure out a life of peace, a life of freedom from anxiety. When we talk about financial freedom, where people are assuming when they say financial freedom, people are assuming that they're talking about time freedom, mental freedom, physical health freedom, right? But location freedom. They're thinking, when people talk about financial freedom, they're not talking about having money. Very few people want money. Most people want the benefits of what they assume money gets them. And what they assume that money gets them is a type of peace and freedom from cares and concerns of this world. And whatever they present around it. If it's sitting on the beach, sipping Mai Tais, to them, that represents freedom, because in the back of their mind, they're free from worry. So they just say, I want financial freedom. Or whether that dream is hiking or traveling full time or flying on a G6 or whatever they consider that, it's not actually about the money. It's not actually about it. It's the freedom from what they perceive as holding them back. Now, my wife and I perceive that the system held us back quite a bit. And so we lived a life off grid. We lived a life of building earthships and going to earthship school in Taos, New Mexico, and living a life of sustainability. We toyed with building an earthship ourselves in Taos, New Mexico. The land is still very affordable there. But our journey did also lead us to the missionary field, this journey of spirituality and giving to others. I had worked in Haiti off and on for 5 years, learned Creole, learned all about voodoo, and learned about the full history of Haiti. I dove in with both feet, as they say. And then my wife and I got married, and we visited there quite a bit during our dating years and during our engagement years. And then we got married. And then we ultimately moved to the Dominican Republic to continue this missional work. And we knew we had challenges with dogma and doctrine. We knew we were challenged with that, but ultimately we were there to serve people. Now, we lived in Dominican Republic for a year, and yes, we had a lot of fun, but yes, I also had a ton of challenges. But one of the things we found was this: the stockpile of money that we moved to the Dominican Republic with, we had a picture in our mind. We would suddenly become infopreneurs, and people would suddenly want to follow us, and we would suddenly be able to afford our lifestyle while we were there. She would work as a scuba dive instructor. I would work as teaching English as a second language, and we could get by. We quickly realized that we didn't know much about money building. We quickly realized that though we had studied this and though I'd spent all of my 20s doing startups and network marketing companies and sales, I still was missing elements of what it took to be integrated with society, integrated with life, still be free mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And we were watching our stockpile of money fall. We had only spent about half of our resources. We could have gone maybe another year. But as we were counting the dingates and measured what it would take to get started back in the United States or building a business, we quickly realized we needed to build multiple streams of income. Like, we knew this, but as we watched our money drop, we realized we had to do this, but it developed a conflict in us. And that was, how can we focus on building multiple streams of income and still be spiritual? Now, some of you might think that that's a ridiculous question. Some of you listening might be completely integrated, that you are at peace, you have no anxiety, you aren't attached to the things of this world. You aren't attached to money at all, yet you're building gobs and gobs of money, more than you'd ever need. But I'm not as spiritual as you. I'm not as centered as you, although I wish I were, and though that's what I'm pursuing. But for those of you who are still struggling to reconcile, how can I live at peace? How can I live a joyful life? How can I live an anxiety-free life, yet still be involved with the busyness of making money? I'm here to actually reconcile this for you today with at least 4 ways to think about building MSIs, multiple streams of income, in a way that can build you up as a spiritual person. Because I believe that a lot of this practical world is spiritual. Now, part of the challenge that I had when we were in the Dominican Republic and we're coming back to the United States and thinking, well, I don't want to give up my spiritual pursuits. I just don't know how. But practically speaking, I have to build up multiple streams of income. We know how. We're smart enough. We're strong enough. How can we do this? And so my wife and I were challenged on this. And then you throw in there one of my favorite mentors, Joseph Campbell, who wrote Hero of a Thousand Faces and Pathways to Bliss. He often said, follow your bliss. Forget about the money. And for us, we were following our bliss. We were trying to forget about the money. And large part, I don't think you should make it about money. I fully agree you should follow your bliss. I fully believe you should follow your passion. Pursuing money can definitely be a massive distraction. It is the ultimate distraction from living an examined life, to living, as Buckminster Fuller call it, a life as a guinea pig. Can we live a life of experimentation where we're enriched by the experiences we have? People are accumulating things when they should be accumulating experiences. But there was a pragmatic reality that our bliss, what if chasing our bliss is blocked by a lack of resources? And if we were to be real, and if we were to get around all these hippy-dippy spiritualists that I have a huge respect for, they very rarely get real with me that they don't know how to reconcile the dilemma. Most of them just err on the side of being spiritual, yet they struggle all their lives to get by. I know this. I know that as I grow old, I don't want to be a burden on society. I know that as I grow old, I want to leave a financial legacy, a literacy legacy, a legacy of all kinds for my family and friends, for my nieces and my nephews, for society. We don't have kids. That's a life of experiment so that we have more resources to focus on giving back. We're building our businesses and involved in our ventures, not just for the output, but to develop ourselves and to become better at partnering with other people so that there's a legacy left behind. What if your bliss is blocked by lack of resources? Most spiritualists won't tell you that it is, but I'm here to tell you it's okay if yours is. Not everyone's spiritual journey is blocked by lack of resources, but many, many people's spiritual journeys are. Many people's bliss is blocked by lack of resources, and that's why we built State of the Spark, to reconcile these worlds. Ours was in the Dominican Republic. My wife was in her bliss scuba diving. I wrote 2 books that year alone. We were doing missional work, yet there was still a lack. Now, there was other lacks as well. I had lack of social richness. I had lack of the A type in me that's a builder. There were other problems wrong, but a major one was lack of resources. And here's what's worse. We're going to solve this for you real quick. I have answers for you real quick, at least how I'm answering this right now for myself. But what made this worse is if you survey the landscape and say, okay, Grant, I get the problem. I'm surveying the landscape and I'm looking for answers. Let's look at these influencers. Influencers make it seem that the lives of freedom they live is so easy to obtain. Just start a drop shipping business on Shopify. No probs, Bob. I take care of this and then you can travel the world. Just start an OnlyFriends account and it'll be made. Pictures of my feet and I'm golden. The media messages are mixed on how to actually do this. Are these type of influencers like getting by? Is it really that easy for them? Or are they selling their souls and slaving away in the background, or selling their body on OnlyFans, or whatever it is? Maybe that's a bliss for some people, but I'm willing to bet more than not, it's not bliss to pay the price they have to pay. And it's actually not nearly as easy as they make it sound. You see, when I have financial freedom, I want to rest. I don't want to have to answer my email 24/7. I want to read a book at my leisurely pace and get all the rich nuggets those books have. I don't know about you, but if I were honest about my dreams and my vision of time freedom, financial freedom, health freedom, relational freedom, time, location, and spiritual freedom, I'm not rushing around trying to get by. So this is where it gets even worse, and then we're going to tie it together for you. Building resources. So let's say that somehow you've gotten over the spiritual dilemma that I had. How do I build spirituality and resources? How do I do that? And then if it's taking it further and push through answering, well, I can't go to these influencers because they make it seem easy, but the price they're paying is not the price I want to pay with my life. My life. For all we know, we've got one life to live. Brock jumps in here and says, resources are available in proportion to the leverage of mental models we develop and the sweat, blood, and tears created and applying them. And I absolutely believe this. For those who follow Brock at all, if you've seen him post in the Discord, if you've seen any of our interactions, Brock has this interesting mix where he is ambitious, and for those might not think he's an optimistic person. He's a very optimistic person, I believe. He's an engineer, but he's got a very pragmatic sensibility about him. And I have been looking in my own life for a mix of pragmatic sensibility mixed with optimism. And I think Brock has that here. Resources, this is available in proportion to the leverage of mental models. You just need to leverage your mental models, folks. You need to have decent mental models. A bad mental model, if you got a bad map, you're not going to be able to navigate the landscape. But then on top of that, there's the practice, and the practice are over here: blood, sweat, and tears. There's some practical realities that we have to get through. So if you've been able to push through the dilemma, which I still am working through, on can I pursue building resources and spirituality or a deep sense of meaningfulness? And can I push through the noise from media that says, oh, it's super easy, but then when you read between the lines, they're often paying a price of peace of mind. They're often paying a price. They're building a life that will require other stressful things from them. If you've been able to push through there, then there's one remaining problem that I'm facing, and that's this. Building resources eventually becomes for the sake of building resources. Basically, you build a monster that requires to be fed. For example, a lot of influencers who are able to travel around the world and visit the coolest hotels in Fiji while they pose for their OnlyFans, and they make it seem like the world of an influencer is so easy. In the background, the editing, the performing, the waiting for people to leave these tourist-heavy places, the finagling, the sponsoring, the emails, the putting up with trolls, the losing partners becomes very difficult. And then it becomes about keeping up with that thing for the sake of keeping up with that thing. Getting sucked into the building of a business also comes with its certain accolades, certain social notoriety. People start going, hey, that's that person building that business. Hey, that's that person doing that thing. And then these social benefits you don't want to give up. And that's when the ego comes up. And that's when basic selfishness rises and goes, well, it's a different type of currency, and I'm really busy and I'm really stressed. Boom. Brock has said this to me before, and I constantly am trying to unpack this. Derivatives are the root of all evil, not the money itself. And I agree with that, and I wish there was a more layman's way for me to get my head around it. But I think what Brock is saying here is that sometimes when we chase these things in the wrong way, the derivatives, the side branches that come up, can also become worse than the thing we were trying to solve in the first place. Yagya, not today. Today is about personal development. You can ask it in the Discord, or you can ask it on Fridays when we go live on Fridays to talk about the market. Today we're talking about personal development and multiple streams of income and spirituality. Thanks for checking in. So if you've been able to push through these three challenges, the dilemma of building resources over spirituality, which is a myth that it's a dilemma, but it's still a psychological reality, right? If you've been able to push through the mixed messages of media, like, oh, this is so easy, it's really not that easy. And if you've been able to push through, hey, I've started building something, but now I'm caught building something for the sake of building something. I'll tell you how I am reconciling this thing. And it's a spiritual, not spiritual act. It's simply this: multiple streams of income. Now, notice I didn't say building a business. Multiple streams of income, I believe, can be a spiritual act. Now, anything can be a spiritual act, and let me tell you why. And that's not a passé statement. I mean that in my core, if you will let it mean that. Can you name some streams of income where we can earn as a student? Yes, absolutely. We'll get there. I'm going to cover that in just a hot second, Yagya. I want to read this to you very briefly, just a quick sentence, but I want to encourage you that anything, including building resources and streams of income, can become a spiritual act if you'll let it. It can become a foundational stone. It won't become the destination. Remember, building resources is not the destination. Freedom is. Freedom as you feel it. Freedom as felt. Not just financial freedom. Spiritual, mental, physical freedom, location freedom, time freedom. Time freedom doesn't just mean I can dictate when I work. Time freedom means I can dictate what I work on. True freedom you can have immediately. Now, I want to read you this quick sentence, and this is from a book called How to Walk by Thich Nhat Hanh. Let's talk about this real quick. He says, and he's a Buddhist. For those who don't know, Thich Nhat Hanh is one of the most prolific Buddhists around. And he has this comment. Good morning, Jessica. Thanks for the like. I appreciate it. And he says, he talks about how multiple streams of income can actually be a meditation. Really, what he's talking about in this moment is how a walk can be a meditation. And we're going to parallel this. Number one, we frequently walk with the sole purpose of getting from one place to another. But where are we in between? With every step, we can feel the miracle of walking on solid ground. We can arrive in the present moment with every step when we walk as meditation. Now, I've read this multiple times before, walking as meditation. And for Buddhist practices, how to walk, he has another book called How to Eat. And it's eating as meditation. It's eating mindfully. It's walking mindfully. Now, we can do this with multiple streams of income with a few quick warnings. But first off, I want to point out that there should be a dynamic tension. Everyone's looking for balance, and I don't believe in balance. I believe in entropy. I believe in dynamic tension. I attended a TED Talk a few years back. And there was a gentleman who gave a presentation that he doesn't believe in balance. He believes in dynamic tension. And this pursuit of balance always has you going over here and then going over here and then going over here and then going over here. And it feels so anxiety ridden. Brock uses a word here that I'm going to totally adopt. Tensegrity. Integrity. Tensegrity. I got to work on pronouncing this term. I like the term dynamic tension. You can take an edifice or rock and artistically try to balance it like a cairn, or you could strap it down with two cables on each side. One of them, wind could blow it over. The other is quite solid. Don't seek balance, seek dynamic tension. Fill your life with dynamic tension. I like this term, and there's a dynamic tension between wealth building and spirituality that should pull itself, and you get balanced in the middle. MSIs can be a spiritual act. And I've got just 3 quick principles and then 4 ways that building MSIs and building profit is a spiritual act. A few quick things. Number 1, your job is not a stream of income. MSI stands for multiple streams of income. And I want to have, I'm giving you these principles because there's one major thing I want to remove from that, and that is building a business. I do not believe any longer, I used to, I do not believe any longer that building a business itself is a pursuit for multiple streams of income, and I'll break that down in a quick second. Number one, your job is not a stream of income. A stream of income, a stream flows towards you. A job is working in the mines, and it's respectful. And I believe in having good, solid work. I believe working in the mines. But if we're talking about multiple streams of income as a spiritual act, for the sake of this conversation, I'm excluding jobs. Now, there are three types of streams of incomes, three basic pillars or mountains, if you will, that the streams of income come off of. Number one, investing. Every type of investment, and I would include for my crypto fans, cryptocurrency comes from the stream of income if you let it. If you're trading, you've given yourself a job. It is a way to build income, but trading, not investing in crypto, trading crypto is a job. You'll get to that in a second. Real estate, holding real estate assets is not. Real estate for the rental income and living off of loans, and we could talk about real estate as piggy banks, those can be streams of income. Marketing. Now, marketing can apply to infopreneuring, influencers. Marketing could be building a platform. Marketing could be network marketing. And this is where I'm going to tell you that I don't believe building a business is a stream of income. And here's why. Building a business from scratch takes enough work that to me, it qualifies as a job. Now, you could be passionate about it. We've got a fan, Root Patel, and Root is building a business. And if I ever ask Root, hey, Root, are you in crypto? He'll say, no, I'm not in crypto at all. I'm so focused on building Voyager. It's an engineering firm with a focus on drones and different applications for drone and drone technology, but he does a lot. He's an engineer. And he does focus on building his business. He's not interested technically right now in too many multiple streams of income. He is building a passion project. Maybe Elon Musk has multiple streams of income, but the truth is he has multiple jobs and a ton of assets. But how are his streams of income? I'm focusing on streams of income as a different bucket because you could seek to be a millionaire, or you could have streams of income that are the equivalent of being a millionaire. I do not believe building a business is a stream of income. Now, it could be on the back end. You could build a business with an intent to hand it off and not work in it at all. That would be a business as a stream of income. But chances are that falls under the marketing bridge. I gave you three pillars: investment pillar, real estate pillar, and marketing pillar. For a business to be a stream of income, it's either in the investment column. I have invested in this business. I invested my time. I invested my money, and now I've handed it off, and now it is its own pillar. Or in the marketing realm, I've put together a dropship company, and it's easy to set up, but now I focus on the marketing. A business could apply to anything. In fact, the principles of business need to apply to all three of these in order for any of them to become a stream of income. If you have real estate, we have a piece of real estate in Coco. And we went in and set it up. And if we're turning over the Airbnb rooms every single day, that's a job, not a stream. We're working in the mines. We're not in a stream letting it flow towards us. But the minute that we actually set it up as a business, set up our management company, set up our landscapers, set up our cleaners, got them all set up and on autopilot and set up systems, the minute we set it up as a business, that's when it became a stream of income. So if I'm building a business for the sake of building a business, I would say it's categorically not a stream of income. So three pillars or three mountains: investing mountain, real estate mountain, and marketing mountain. And each of these have to be treated as a business, meaning it is treated as systems that you're going to hand off. Otherwise, it's a job and not a stream of income. Now, I call that out to zero in on multiple streams of income for a moment, because now I want us to zero back on how multiple streams of income themselves can be a meditation that helps your spiritual life. Now, you see, if you're working a job, you and I both know the job is so intensive and building up a business is so intensive that it's hard to win the dynamic tension game of it being both a spiritual practice, and enriching our lives and growing our wealth. But building MSIs can't. You see, when you build a passion business, I'm building up State of the Spark. It's a passion business. And I have to take time away to nurture my spiritual life. When you're building a passion business, your identity is very tied up and it creates natural dilemmas all the time. But when you're building MSIs, it lends itself to a little dispassionate approach, which I think is healthier for a spiritual path. So here are the 4 quick ways that building MSIs, that is all context. Here are the 4 quick ways that building MSIs is spiritual. Number 1, and I'm going to unpack these just a little bit before I let you go for this morning. Number 1, building up MSIs causes you to replace your ego with servanthood. We're going to talk about that in a second. It helps you replace ego with servanthood. Number 2, it helps you replace a scarcity mind with a deep knowledge of abundance. Number 3, building up multiple streams of income helps you replace jealousy with celebrating other people's joys and successes. And number 4, building up multiple streams of income helps you replace blame with discipline. I've never met a spiritual person who has a deep-seated ego, who has a scarcity mind, who is full of jealousy, and who is full of blame or victimhood. I have quite often met spiritual people who have servanthood, who operate in a spirit of abundance, who celebrate other people's joys and successes, and who operate in a massive amount of self-discipline. And guess what? My millionaire mentors, I've had a real estate millionaire mentor. I've had a stock trading and options trading millionaire mentor. I've had a crypto millionaire mentor. I've had a small business millionaire mentor. I made sure that they were millionaires and I served under them quite often for free. And actually all of them for free. I've also had a spiritual mentor, also worked for them for free. All 4 of them, or all of them, including the financial mentors, when they made money, they often attributed these 4 traits to their success: servanthood, abundant mindset, celebrating other people's successes, and massive amounts of discipline. Isn't it funny that the traits to build a spirituality correspond to the traits of building multiple streams of income and wealth? It's huge. And I highly recommend you look deeper at servanthood. If this is all you get out of today's show, research servanthood, research an abundance mindset, research celebrating other people's wins and gratitude and gratefulness, and research massive amounts of discipline, because it transcends whether or not you're building money or whether or not you're building spirituality. These traits are the same, like Thich Nhat Hanh and walking. Let me just unpack these very quickly and I'll let you go. Number 1, building up multiple streams of income will reveal your depth of ego. Ego often rises up over servanthood as you're building multiple streams of income. The temptations are huge. Servanthood and building multiple streams of income begins with putting the motivation of helping others as the steam engine for the efforts of building up your streams of income. Tony Robbins famously gives away huge volumes of Thanksgivings for everybody. And his original motive was that he never wanted another family to go hungry on Thanksgiving like he did. And he wanted to give back so much that he built up Tony Robbins' empire. But what happens is you actually succeed. You don't have to plan for if you fail. What happens if you actually start succeeding? Ego starts to come in. You start to get tempted to believe your own hype. It takes a lot of self-hype to go out and build multiple streams of income, to build businesses, to purchase real estate, to buy crypto. I could tell you stories that we hit this major conflicts and we had to hype ourselves up and go, hey, listen, I know that we've never done X, Y, and Z before, but we have to go in there strong as if we own the world. And you have to hype yourself up. I'm smart enough to handle this contract deal. I'm smart enough and strong enough to close this $1 million check right here. You got to hype yourself up if you've never done that before. And so ego rises. You make a really good trade. Last summer, Marissa and I made a really good set of stock trades. We tripled our stock investments, not crypto. I mean stocks. We quadrupled actually. We quadrupled them. It was huge. I'm smart enough. I'm strong enough to do this. And when you win these affirmations, these temptations to believe the affirmations too far can feed the ego. Building up multiple streams of income will reveal your depth of ego. And you have to be present-minded to catch that. and to return to a vision of I'm building this for others, not for me. The second thing is it will reveal your scarcity mindset. I can't tell you in the crypto space how many people come into this thinking, okay, I'm just going to invest. I'm going to buy for the long term. And then someone mentions the next cat girl coin or the next Elon Floki coin or the next Shiba Inu coin. And they totally ape in. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt is so prevalent. FUD, we call it FUD in cryptocurrency and in other markets. FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So they get in as it's already on the rise. Everyone's already made their profits, but they're like, I don't want to miss out, like we saw with the GameStop Wall Street bets move. I don't want to miss out. So they buy in high and then it crashes and they think, oh my gosh, I don't want to lose any more money. And they sell. No matter how level-headed you think you are, no matter how much spiritual you think you are, when there's enough money hype going on and you're building MSIs, it will reveal your level of scarcity. When the money in the bank is there, and there's a whole other pace of living for millionaires that they don't live paycheck to paycheck. They live equity event to equity event. My wife and I have begun more and more to live equity event to equity event. And when we start living paycheck to paycheck, we know that we're off kilter. We're not integrated. We need to live equity event to equity event. Scarcity starts to kick in, and then you start living paycheck to paycheck. You realize, oh my God, I thought I had gotten rid of scarcity. How do I get back to abundance? The third way multiple streams of income are a spiritual act is they reveal your jealousy. I just told you about a great trade I made last summer. Some of you get jealous. Oh, if only I'd have done that. I tell you about our trip to Iceland that our team was able to manage the company at the time. It might create jealousy. I might hear about someone making some sick crypto trades. They might say, oh man, I just dropped $60,000 on Jade and it took off and I sold out. I might be tempted to get jealous. One of my millionaire mentors told me, if you cannot celebrate others' success, you will not be able to celebrate your own. You draw to you and attract to you other people doing great things. You see, a lot of wealthy, successful people hide their successes because of jealousy. If you are not surrounded by millionaires doing extraordinary things, willing to share, hey, check this out, I was just able to do this week. They're not trying to brag. They're just trying to celebrate something that went good in their life. But they often don't have many friends because when someone comes around, they're in it for the money, and that person will want two things from them. Number one, they'll want freebies. Don't come into our Discord and ask for freebies. Get knowledge, build relationship. Don't ask for freebies. I had to boot someone today because they were asking for handouts. You'll never attract wealthy people that way. Wealthy people just want to celebrate cool things. They want to celebrate you. They want to be celebrated. Learn to celebrate other people's successes. When you build MSIs, as you're building, you might have a setback or someone else might get ahead and you might get sucked into that and get jealous. If you let multiple streams of income, use that as a leverage point to start celebrating people instead. Notice when you get jealous, cut off the jealousy and replace it with celebrating others. Building an MSI then becomes a spiritual act. It's just an everyday act if you let yourself get jealous. If you let it make you better, it's a spiritual act. And last, building multiple streams of income will flush out your blaming victimhood. Building multiple streams of income takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of discipline. Being spiritual takes a lot of discipline. Sitting down and meditating for 5 minutes in our busy life is difficult. Stepping away from the chatter for a second to focus on the person we're having coffee with is difficult. When you build multiple streams of income and the demand, when my patrons right now, they're blowing up and I've got to follow them. They've got this request and that request. And I get so sucked in. But the truth is, I need to be actually building high quality content. So I should be delegating that and working on high quality content. But I just want to respond to every single one. And I'm not exhibiting discipline. Quite often when you build MSIs, if things don't go your way, if a deal goes bad, if we had a bad month with our real estate, if our real estate in Coco had a bad month, we could blame a lot of things, or we could see the blame, cut it off, and replace it with discipline. Let's follow up with our property manager. Let's check out the marketing. Let's make sure that the rooms are being filled. Let's tell our friends about it. If our website company is not producing what we need it to do, we could blame, well, it's the president with $15 an hour. Well, employees these days don't get it. Or we could exhibit the discipline of creating better systems, better training, better coaching, better leadership. Building multiple streams of income is a spiritual act when you let the challenges that you're often making blame statements and victim statements to other people, and you pivot that into discipline and becoming stronger. You cannot blame and be disciplined at the same time, not effectively. You could say the words, like, for example, I know a disciplined person who uses blame language, but doesn't linger there. They go, man, this is $15 an hour, whatever. And they own it and they move on and get to discipline. You might be able to cognitively notice causes of the negative things in your life, but blame lingers a little too long on that. And it sucks energy from you pivoting that into discipline. Blame and discipline are mutually exclusive, folks. Real blame and real discipline, they're mutually exclusive. It takes an enormous amount of discipline to sit and meditate. It takes an enormous amount of discipline to fast and pray. It takes an enormous amount of discipline to walk away from the chatter and do what you should be doing in order to create a breakthrough, whether spiritual or resources. Listen, building multiple streams of income needs to happen. You're too caught up. So many crypto people are buying cryptocurrencies and they're trying to trade. They're trying to be a trader. And then the opposite is true. They're trying to buy and hold for life projects that are literally bubbling right now. They're not remembering it wasn't about trading. It was about getting resources, but it was ultimately about multiple streams of income. Not much in the crypto space is an actual stream of income. Maybe crypto staking and lending. But most of you are trading. Most of you are buying meme coins hoping to go parabola and you're going to be left holding the bag. Are you funneling this into streams of income? Holding an asset isn't a stream of income. Investing in streams of income is streams of income. Holding an asset means you have to be a trader. You have to watch the market. You have to watch for a good entry, watch for a good exit. You've just built another job. But do you have the servanthood, the abundance, the celebration of other successes, the discipline to keep present-minded and know what the goals are about? Did you make it about others or did you make it about yourself? Were you caught up in scarcity or did you operate in abundance? Did you get jealous or did you celebrate when other people won? Did you blame when you hit conflict or did you just channel that into deeper discipline? Building wealth and resources can be reconciled as a spiritual act if you let it. If you make it first and foremost about the spirituality. Otherwise, you're chasing money and just calling it a spiritual act. But can you stop? Can you get integrated spiritually and pursue these things? Listen, I hope to celebrate you. I hope you're going to have a killer week. Please join us in our free Discord. Consider becoming a patron to get our buy alerts and our watch lists and our investment ideas. Get involved in the community. Keep supporting the research and work. But no matter what you do today, thanks for watching and remember the mission, igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.